The Ukrainian army is causing massive damage to the Russian army with their new secret weapon, the homemade glide bomb. The Russian army has been unable to stop this Ukrainian weapon that has a range of over 60 miles and can be made from a 90-year-old Soviet-era aircraft part for only about $60. Keep watching as we reveal how Ukraine has been unleashing hell on Russia with this homemade glide bomb. The bomb has a range of over 60 miles, which means that Ukrainian aircraft can drop the bomb from well outside the range of Russian air defenses. This aircraft was designed in the 1930s and was used by both the Soviet Union and Germany during World War II. Since the start of the war, the Ukrainian army has dropped hundreds of these bombs on Russian positions, causing massive damage to the enemy. One of the ways that the Ukrainian army has been dropping the bomb is by using aircraft such as the Mikoyan MiG-29 and the Sukhoi Su-25. Mariupol is a city in southeastern Ukraine that has been under siege by Russian forces for weeks. Ukrainian and Russian forces that has been taking place in the capital city of Ukraine. The battle has been ongoing for several months, and it is one of the most intense battles of the war. Both sides have suffered heavy losses, but the Ukrainian army has been able to hold off the Russian army from taking the city. The bomb has been very effective in all of these roles and has caused significant damage to the Russian army. The Ukrainian army is continuing to use the homemade glide bomb as part of its arsenal against the Russian army. The bomb has been very effective so far, and it is likely that the Ukrainians will continue to use it as long as the war continues. The Ukrainian army has been using homemade glide bombs in the battle to great effect. We would love to hear your thoughts. If you haven't already, please subscribe to get notified when we release our latest videos. Thank you for watching. The bombs have been dropped on Russian positions throughout the city, causing massive damage to the enemy. This has helped the Ukrainian army to hold off the Russian army and defend the city. The city is surrounded by Russian troops, and the residents are trapped inside the city with little access to food, water, or medical care. In order to try to break the siege, Ukrainian forces launched a counterattack against the Russian forces surrounding the city. Part of this counterattack involved dropping homemade glide bombs on Russian positions around the city. The bombs caused massive damage to the Russian forces, killing and wounding many of them. This allowed Ukrainian forces to make some progress in lifting the siege of the city. These aircraft are designed to support ground troops by providing air cover and by dropping bombs on enemy positions. However, they are not designed to carry out precision strikes in the face of a much larger and more powerful enemy. The Ukrainians have been able to hold their own by using weapons made from aircraft from World War II. It's a truly inspiring story, and it shows that even the most powerful military in the world can be defeated by a determined and resourceful enemy. Therefore, the pilots of these aircraft must fly very close to the target in order to drop the bomb as close to the target as possible. The bomb has been very effective against the Russian army, causing massive damage to their ranks. In fact, the bomb has been so effective that it has caught the Russian army off guard, and they have been unable to develop a countermeasure to stop it. The bomb has a range of over 60 miles, which allows Ukrainian aircraft to drop the bomb from outside the range of Russian air defenses. This means that the Russian army is unable to defend against the bomb, making it a very effective weapon. This puts the aircraft at risk of being shot down, but the pilots have been willing to take this risk in order to destroy the enemy. After the war, the aircraft was retired and many of them were scrapped. Helicopters are much more maneuverable than aircraft, which means that they can fly closer to the target and drop the bomb more accurately. This means that the chances of the bomb hitting the target are much higher. However, helicopters are also more vulnerable to being shot down, so this is a risky strategy. Nevertheless, the Ukrainian army has been using helicopters to great effect in the war, and the homemade glide bomb has been no exception. However, some of the parts from these aircraft were salvaged and used to make the homemade glide bomb. This means that the Ukrainian army is able to use a weapon that is literally made from the parts of aircraft from World War II, which is a testament to the ingenuity of the Ukrainian people. This means that the Russian army is unable to defend against the bomb, making it a very effective weapon against them. Additionally, the bomb is relatively cheap to produce, costing only about $60 per unit. This means that the Ukrainian army can produce a large number of these bombs quickly and easily, making it a very cost-effective weapon. With the Russian invasion into Ukraine well underway, the Ukrainian forces have had to utilize all means necessary to defend their homeland from the Russian invaders. From Molotov cocktails to the use of tanks and other heavy equipment, the Ukrainians have not held back in their fight against the Russian invaders. To answer these questions, let's take a closer look at the weapon itself. The homemade glide bomb is an aerial weapon that is designed to be dropped from an aircraft and then glide through the air towards its target, where it will detonate on impact. But unlike traditional bombs, the homemade glide bomb is not a precision-guided weapon. Instead, it relies on the pilot to drop the bomb as close to the target as possible. Once the bomb is dropped, it will simply glide towards the ground, detonating when it hits the ground, or when it is detonated remotely by the pilot. However, one of the most interesting weapons that the Ukrainians have used during this war is the homemade glide bomb. This weapon has been very effective against the Russian army and has caused massive damage to their ranks. But what exactly is the homemade glide bomb? How does it work, and why is it so effective against the Russian army? What makes the homemade glide bomb particularly effective against the Russian army is its range. One of the most amazing things about the homemade glide bomb is that it can be made from parts of a 90-year-old Soviet-era aircraft called the Polikarpov I-15. So exactly how has the Ukrainian army been using the homemade glide bomb against the Russian army? Well, the answer is simple. They've been dropping them like crazy. In addition to using aircraft to drop the bomb, the Ukrainian army has also used helicopters. One of the most impressive uses of the homemade glide bomb was in the city of Mariupol. Another impressive use of the homemade glide bomb was in the Battle of Kiev. The use of the homemade glide bomb by the Ukrainian army is a testament to the ingenuity and determination of the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian army has been able to utilize a variety of different platforms to drop the homemade glide bomb, including aircraft and helicopters. The Ukrainian army has been using the homemade glide bomb in a variety of different ways, including dropping it on Russian positions and using it to break up attacks. If you thought this video was interesting, please don't forget to leave us a comment below.